Hello everyone. Welcome to this channel Jikook universe. In this video we will discuss something interesting and definitely a shame to miss. Come on, watch until the end. Remember when Jimin once said that Jungkook learned boxing so he could protect him? That statement might sound like a sweet joke to some, but to those who have been observing for a while, it carries a much deeper meaning. There's a video showing Jungkook throwing several quick, powerful punches, like a fighter preparing himself. But this isn't just ordinary physical training. From the look in his eyes, from the seriousness of each movement, it's clear that there's a personal intention behind it. The intention to protect someone very important to him. That someone is Jimin. Over the years we've witnessed Jungkook always stay by Jimin's side. From the early days of their debut when they were teenagers trying to adjust to the big world of K-pop, to now when they're both adults, going their separate ways but never truly being apart. Even during their military service, when distance and time should have separated them, that closeness remains palpable. It's like they have an invisible thread that always connects them on and off stage. Their relationship is more than just that of colleagues or friends. There was something different, something natural, something that developed without any orchestration or planning. You could see it in the way they understood each other without words, in how Jimin could read Jungkook's expression at a glance, or how Jungkook responded to Jimin before Jimin even spoke. But of course not everyone was willing to accept this closeness. Some tried to downplay the significance of their relationship. Some even created rumors, edited video footage, or distorted reality to support their own narratives. One of the most common attempts was to compare or even separate the two by highlighting Jungkook's relationships with other members. But for those willing to look at things without bias, none of that changed the fact that Jungkook always time after time chose Jimin. And that choice was no accident. One particularly memorable moment came during their final live performance before the group's hiatus. Amidst the spotlight and the cheers of the audience, Jimin took Jungkook's hand. Jungkook, without hesitation, returned it with a gentle squeeze. A simple gesture, but one that carried meaning. Jimin looked slightly taken aback, his expression as if to say, "I know what you mean," but his lips curved in a faint smile. Some people try to interpret the squeeze negatively, calling it a sign of rejection or discomfort. But those who have truly followed this relationship know. The squeeze is a secret language, a sign of trust and a silent way of saying, "I'm here." Small gestures like that are nothing new. From the beginning, Jungkook has always shown that he wants to take care of Jimin. He's said it and he's proven it through his actions. Practicing, paying attention and thinking about Jimin at every opportunity. Their closeness wasn't built for the cameras. Many precious moments were never recorded or made public. That's precisely where the strength of their relationship is revealed. One of the most touching was during their last live session together. Jimin, with a faint smile, recounted how Jungkook had sneaked into his room to record him. Right afterward, Jungkook sang a snippet of a song that went, "I promise I'll come with you." The line was no accident. They then interlocked their pinkies, making a promise only they fully understood. To some, it was just a sweet interaction. But to those in the know, it was a private declaration. A silent promise that no matter what, they would stay together. When they sat together on the live broadcast, the atmosphere felt different. They weren't thinking about the audience. They were simply talking to each other. Jimin seemed comfortable, while Jungkook seemed a little shy whenever Jimin talked about his habits. Sometimes he looked down, sometimes he smiled slightly as if trying to hide his feelings. There was something they were keeping hidden, something they weren't revealing to the public because they knew that if everyone saw it, the world would be even more convinced that there was something unusual between them. This bond is no ordinary friendship. It's built on deep trust, respect, and unforced affection. You can see it in their eyes every time they meet. However, behind it all, there are always those who try to undermine the narrative. Some accuse Jimin of being close to Jungkook out of jealousy or wanting to prevent him from getting close to others. Others accuse him of being attention-hungry. In reality, Jimin is often the one who stays behind the scenes, supporting without seeking the spotlight. Jimin is warm, caring, and always thinks of others, especially Jungkook. He doesn't act with ill intentions or want to bring anyone down. He just wants everyone to be okay. That's why it's painful to see him frequently attacked for no apparent reason. These accusations are baseless, born from a refusal to accept that Jimin and Jungkook's relationship is real. This relationship isn't just about hugging at concerts or joking around in front of the camera. It's a story built with time, patience, and support through the most difficult times. Like a pinky promise, a song lyric sung at the right moment, or a secret visit to a room. These are all small details that make up the mosaic of intimacy. It's not something that happens with just anyone. It only happens when there's love, respect, and a deep emotional connection. Rather than looking for reasons to belittle or separate, wouldn't it be fairer to acknowledge that each member of BTS deserves respect? Jimin is no different. BTS wouldn't be the same without him, without his personal story, and without the relationship he's built with Jungkook. This relationship doesn't need labels or validation. Just pay attention to the way they look at each other, approach each other, or give each other attention without expecting applause. None of that is acting. And moments like that wouldn't have consistently appeared over the years if they were just pretend. Like Jungkook searching for Jimin in a crowd, or Jimin always getting close even when there's plenty of empty space. Like the habit of touching each other, whether it's a hand, a shoulder, a hug, or simply a foot rest. It all comes so naturally. They don't do it for the cameras. They do it because it's part of the dynamic of their relationship. And most interestingly, none of this is empty theory. It's the result of paying attention to small details that happen repeatedly, consistently year after year. This relationship is real, growing over time, and enduring despite the constant commentary and speculation. Ultimately, what they have is something strong, genuine, and doesn't need to be announced to be understood. Jimin was still sitting in the corner of the sofa, staring at his phone screen, which still displayed Jungkook's name. The video call had ended a few minutes ago, but he hadn't been able to press the end button. It was as if he still wanted to hold on to the last bit of warmth that had been present between them. He took a deep breath, then smiled slightly, remembering all the words Jungkook had said that night, especially his warm tone and his gaze that seemed to penetrate the screen. To be honest, this wasn't the first time they'd video called, but somehow this moment felt different. There were long pauses between their conversations, but not because they'd run out of topics. Instead, the pauses felt comfortable, as if neither of them needed to force words to feel close. Each time their eyes met, they both simply smiled slightly, then fell silent again as if their hearts were speaking. Jungkook, on the other end, looked relaxed, his shirt slightly wrinkled, his hair messy, and the faint sound of rain could be heard behind him. He looked tired, but he still managed to look at Jimin with sparkling eyes. "Hyung, have you eaten?" he asked softly, and Jimin simply nodded with a smile. But behind that smile, there was a touch of emotion that was hard to describe. He knew that, amidst their busy schedules and the pressures they faced, such a small gesture meant everything. That night, Jungkook talked about his day, about practice, about the songs he was listening to, even about trivial things like trying a new ramen recipe. But what really left Jimin speechless was when Jungkook said quietly, "I feel calmer when I talk to Hyung." It was a simple sentence, but it carried a heavy weight of meaning. For a moment, Jimin just stared at him. He felt the urge to ask why, but he held it in. Because he knew that sometimes words aren't enough to explain all the feelings. He simply replied, "Me too." And Jungkook's smile on the screen at that moment. That smile was like a balm after a tiring day. Many armies may have only seen their interactions in front of the camera. Jokes, glances, or small moments captured. But tonight was a side of them rarely seen. No script, no official camera, just two hearts seeking comfort through a phone screen. And somehow, despite the distance separating them, they felt so close. When they finally decided to end the call, Jungkook managed to say, "Don't stay up too late, Hyung." His voice was a little hoarse but full of concern. Jimin nodded, then saw Jungkook give a small wave before the screen went black. But in Jimin's heart, that figure remained. Afterward, Jimin leaned back, closed his eyes, and let his mind replay every second of that moment. He realized that no matter what was happening out there, gossip, rumors, or speculation, only the two of them truly knew what it all meant. And perhaps that was what made their relationship so special. Not how often they were seen together in public, but how strongly they cared for each other even when no one was watching. That night, the rain was still falling, and amidst the sound of the drops, there was a silence that warmed Jimin's heart. He knew that, whether tomorrow or the day after, there would be another call, long or short, that made him feel at home in Jungkook's voice and gaze. Thank you for accompanying the sweet story of Jimin and Jungkook today. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss their next special moment. See you in the next video, Jikookers.